Hey guys, it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com, and today we're talking about 3 great Porsches that you can buy. Remember, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button. If you're already a subscriber, hit the notification bell. Like and share this video so our channel can grow. And as always, leave a positive comment below. So today we're going to go through a bunch of Porsches that I think you should buy. You don't have to buy all 3 of them. Just buy one of them depending on your price point. So what you're looking at here is my 993 Turbo, and that brings us to the 911. Now there's many 911s available for sale, and in this video we're certainly going to find one in your price point. The 993 is an air-cooled car. They've gone way up in value. I bought this car about in 2014. It almost doubled in value in the last 6 or 7 years. It actually doubled pretty quickly. The height of the market was probably 2015 for these cars. Now, you don't need a 993 Turbo. They're obviously a 6-figure car. But you could start with an air-cooled car. 930s, 964s, 911s, 993s, you can get an air-cooled car in your budget. They have gone up a lot in years. They are a really great looking and great sounding 911, but if you want some more modern versions, there's great cars there too. So we can look at air-cooled cars, look at prices of those. They've honestly gone up in value. I think the market has dropped actually since 2015, that height. So I think now's a good time to buy, and I think they will appreciate. Maybe they won't go up as crazy as they did 5 years ago, but you can certainly get a car which you won't lose money on. Get a very good PPI. They're old cars. They will need some deferred maintenance. If you like more modern cars, I bought this 991.2 2017 Miami Blue manual transmission Carrera rear drive. This is just a base Carrera, and I love it. It's about 15 to 30,000 cheaper than an S or a GTS. And you get 90% of the fun, maybe 95% of the fun. My car is a pretty basic car, so you don't need crazy options. And of course, you're going to be buying this car used to save as much money as possible. I have sports seats, sports exhaust, a couple other options, 20-inch wheels if you follow the channel, sunroof, and you can see why they can be a great bargain. As far as driving fun, I think nothing beats it at this $75,000, $85,000 price point. That's still pretty expensive though. So what else could you get? Well, I didn't start with the 993 Turbo, the 991. I actually started with the 996 C4S. I have a whole video on the channel about buying 996 C4S, so definitely check that out. If you can go a little further than a 996, I think you should actually take a look at this car. And this is the 997. The 997 to me looks a lot like the 993. It's a water-cooled car. It's fairly reliable, especially if you get a 997.2. This is a 997.2 base, which commands about the same amount of money as a 997.1S. Some advantages of the base, as you can see here, you get the LED taillights, and you don't have the IMS problems of the earlier engines. This is a direct injection engine, and 997.2s have really gone up in value because they didn't sell that many. They're a great car. Redesign came out in model year 2009. That's when the economy tanked. So 09 and 2010, they didn't sell many cars. The economy was depressed. And also that's when PDK came out. So most of these cars were PDK cars. So if you can find a 997.2 in manual, I think you're definitely in the money. They probably start around the $45,000 price point and go up. This was bought for $45,000. Now you can get a 997.1 base, maybe even around $29,000, $30,000. You'd have to do your homework. You probably have to get the IMS fixed, but a great car. So now the second car you should get, besides the 911, is the Boxster. This is a Boxster GTS 2015 that I reviewed earlier this year, and I fell in love with this car. I wish I could have bought this car. GTS models, you can tell, have the black wheels and the black mirrors. They come with standard features. What makes the GTS models special is they come with sport exhaust, PASM, sport chrono. So it's actually cheaper if you were buying used to get a GTS that comes standard with all those performance options than to get an S and add those performance options. So that's why when you look at the used market for S's or base, it's hard to find sport chrono. It's hard to find sport exhaust because you would probably just go up to the GTS. Now the GTS didn't come out here until the 981 models, I believe. So if you get a 987 Boxster, which first debuted here in model year 2005, there is no GTS model, just an S in base. Now this was a PDK equipped car. Also, it comes out with a manual transmission. GTSs hold their value really well. especially manual transmission cars. They're probably about at least a $10,000 premium over PDK, but don't sweat it. The PDK is that good. Now, PDK first debuted in the 987.2 cars, and again, you're looking at a 981 here, the 987.2 cars in model year 2009. Now, I don't think PDK was that great back then on the 997 911s or on the 987.2 Boxsters. So if you want a PDK, I would try to stretch to a 981. Now, if this is out of your price range, these cars usually go a PDK about 60,000 and a low mileage manual probably about 70,000. So if you want a 987.2, which has the DFI engine, those are in the 30s. Again, same problem. That's when PDK came out. So if you want a manual and the economy was depressed, so they didn't make a lot of them. 981s that look like this car, but obviously won't be the GTS version, you could get the base with the smaller engine and a manual or PDK for the low 30s. Now, low 30s, of course, would be private sale. If you go to a dealer, even base models sell for about 40,000. Now, the dealer advantage of that is obviously they can give you financing and trade-in, and they can maybe give you a CPO, which is a 2-year bumper-to-bumper warranty with unlimited miles. If you can afford the GTS, go for it. But I think you can have a great time in any Boxster. There are 96 Boxsters for 10, 12,000, so there's no excuse not to own a Porsche. And if you like Porsches, you like 911s and Boxsters, maybe you want something a little different, I highly recommend the Cayman S. I had a 987.1 Cayman S, so the first generation Cayman S. This is the second generation, the 981. Now, this 981 I fell in love with. I think they made a host of improvements and made even a better looking car than the 987 generation. The 987 generation is certainly more raw experience. This is a little more refined, but it's still got the engine behind your head. And this wasn't equipped with almost no options. This was just a 981S. And it sounded amazing with that engine right behind your ears. Now, they are sharper handling than the 911s. I've owned 3 911s and a first-gen Cayman S. And the Cayman S, I would say, handles better because you got the mid-engine instead of the rear engine. The Porsche's 911s are, of course, the icon, so they have more quality materials. Maybe I think they're a little better built. There's more leather, less plastics, but you can't go wrong with a Cayman S. So if you don't want a convertible, I think the Boxster is the cheapest version to buy because the Boxster's been around a lot longer. Boxsters debuted in 1997, so you can get Boxsters for 10, 12 grand. I don't know if I'd buy at that price point just because you're going to have probably a lot of deferred maintenance. You're buying a 23-year-old, almost 24-year-old car, and it's going to need stuff. Now, this is my favorite more than the 1718 generation, unless you can afford the new 718 4.0 GTS. So I would probably go with the 981S if I was speccing Caymans. This car that we did the video on a couple years ago sold for about $42,000. I think this car today is probably more like $46,000, $47,000. They have gone up in value of the manuals. Again, just like the Boxsters, you can get a base version. I've seen base PDK. Of course, the base version has a smaller engine than the S in the low 30s. So if you want the look of this car, and you'll get probably S manual performance with a PDK base, you could probably get into this car for the low 30s, and that's really probably the Porsche bargain of the century. I had a 987.1 Cayman S, so that debuted in model year 2006. Mine was a 2008. 2009, they went to the 987.2, and that's the first generation you'll see of PDK in the DFI engine. So if you're worried about IMS issues, and I had 0 in my 2008, and I tracked it. I drove it as a daily driver and drove it in the winter with snow tires if there's no salt on the road, and I had 0 problems with that. So I think the 08s are safe. Maybe the 06 could have some more IMS issues. You do have to be careful of bore scoring, so you should probably have a bore scope when done in your PPI. So in any of these cars, they're older cars, you definitely need a PPI. Some people may have worshipped these cars. Some may have beaten them and dragged them and drove them to the ground and never did any preventive maintenance. What I like about the Boxsters and the Caymans, 2 trunks. So I was able to take my hockey bag, split it in 2, front trunk and rear trunk, and put the 6 in the middle. So these are 3 amazing Porsches that I think you need to buy, whether it's a 911, and, again, go for a 996, a 997. I think they are phenomenal cars to buy once you factor in money. And then, of course, feel free to get the mid-engine cars. They're really the best price point. Start with the Cayman S or a Boxster, and I think you can't go wrong. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Here's 3 great Porsches. Let me know which one is your favorite considering price. Like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment below. And I will see you next time.